Thanks, Mark. Well, Joe Biden coming out on top in the Super Tuesday contest and getting another endorsement. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg announced today he's suspending his campaign and supporting Biden. Bloomberg tweeted, "Defeating Trump starts with uniting behind the candidate with the best shot to do it. It's clear that is my friend and a great American, Joe Biden." Biden took 9 of the 14 states, including Texas, in yesterday's election, giving him momentum and catapulting him into front-runner status. Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders making a strong showing in California and picked up wins in Colorado, Utah, and his home state of Vermont. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody joins us now from D.C. with more on this. David, obviously a very big night for Biden and some surprises.
Yeah, quite a few surprises. Where do we even begin? Well, first of all, the fact that Joe Biden won Minnesota and Massachusetts, extremely impressive. Look, Wendy, he was polling in the single digits in Massachusetts and Minnesota. And of course, Amy Klobuchar got out of the race. That helped him in Minnesota with the endorsement by her. And Massachusetts is Elizabeth Warren's home state. She's got some thinking to do today that she can't even win her home state. So, look, great night for Joe Biden. Definitely a Super Tuesday, more of a woeful Wednesday for Bernie as he's got to kind of figure it out here going forward.
Are you surprised that Bloomberg dropped out so quickly? Do you think this was a smart move for him? And now what does this mean for Biden?
No, not surprised at all. I mean, look, Bloomberg is kind of a no-nonsense business guy, and he saw that there was no path to the nomination. And look, he had already spent $600 million, and what did he get for it? American Samoa. Great, he could have bought the island for that much. But no, I mean, I think ultimately this was a good move for Bloomberg, and for Biden specifically. Yes, the endorsement helps. That's fine. Bloomberg supporters will go to Biden, but Bloomberg didn't have too many supporters to begin with. It'll still help Biden. What really helps Biden is Bloomberg's wallet, and that is what Bloomberg is planning to, in essence, help with or help Biden with throughout the Democrat primary and into the fall against Trump if he indeed makes it that far.
Yeah, what about Elizabeth Warren, though? Like you said, she lost her home state of Massachusetts. Really, she was pretty much non-existent last night. What does this say about her campaign and where it's headed?
Well, you know, Wendy, all along I thought Elizabeth Warren would stay in. This was before Super Tuesday. I thought she'd stay into the convention, probably rack up 200, 300 potential delegates, and then try to play queenmaker there at the end to say, look, Bernie, you've got 1,500, 1,600 delegates, and I can put you over the top, and here's what I want for it. So in essence, let's make a deal. However, she's sitting at about 49 delegates, 50 delegates or so. And where's she going to go from here? Look, once again, if you can't even win your home state, you've got a problem. So she'll have a decision to make. This is potential good news for Bernie Sanders if she gets out of the race. We'll see. But she's got to do that sooner rather than later. And Elizabeth Warren has a choice to make. She's closer ideologically with Bernie. At the same time, Biden seems at this point to be the more pragmatic, more odds-on favorite choice. So she has to kind of choose. Does she want to kind of cast her lot with Biden or go with her ideological roots and Bernie? My sense is she'll get out of the race before next week when the next batch of states vote, and she'll probably endorse Bernie. That's my sense of it.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks so much. David Brody in Washington. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Wendy.
Well, for more political news and analysis, be sure to catch Faith Nation this evening. You can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. The global death rate of the coronavirus is up to 3.4%. That's according to the World Health Organization. By comparison, the flu kills less than 1% of those infected. Vice President Mike Pence announced Tuesday that the U.S. is lifting all restrictions on testing to fast-track those who fear they might have the virus. In the U.S., there are at least 120 cases in more than a dozen states and 9 deaths. All the deaths occurred in the Seattle, Washington area, most connected to an outbreak in a nursing home there. Well, stay with us for the latest on the coronavirus as we continue to provide updates right here on the CBN News Channel and on CBNnews.com. Coming up, what big abortion case is in the Supreme Court today and how activists continue to fight for life.
Having sex before you marry is a bad idea. tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
Two female Republican senators are proposing a National Woman's Right to Know Act. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn says it will mandate abortion providers inform a woman considering the procedure about all the medical risks of an abortion.
This woman should be able to receive counsel, to know really what an abortion is, and to know the gestational age of this baby, to see what the baby would look like, to hear that heartbeat, to have these confirmations that this is a life.
The abortion industry has often fought against having to offer pregnant women ultrasounds or having to share the more negative aspects of an abortion. And the Supreme Court today is hearing arguments for a major abortion case out of Louisiana. The case challenges a 2014 law called the Unsafe Abortion Protection Act that requires doctors who provide abortions to have privileges to admit patients at a nearby hospital. Supporters say it's designed to improve patient safety, but critics argue it's intended to shut down clinics that provide abortion. Students for Life President Kristen Hawkins joined the Protect Women, Protect Life event in front of the Supreme Court to advocate for pro-lifers, and she joins us now with more. Kristen, explain to us more about this 2014 law and how the case made it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, this is a very simple case where the state of Louisiana said we have the right to ensure that abortion facilities are upholding very common sense surgical standards, just like other surgical ambulatory facilities throughout our state. Because unfortunately, abortion facilities are the only places that are committing abortions that somehow are exempt from these very common sense standards, like ensuring that hallways are wide enough for EMT gurneys to get through. And so this was a case where the state legislature passed this law, and it was actually championed by pro-life Democrats. A pro-life Democrat signed it into law, and so then the abortion industry actually pressed a lawsuit against it. And the abortion industry, the actual abortionists in the state, it wasn't on behalf of citizens. They actually filed the lawsuit.
That's incredible. Well, what are you expecting the outcome to be?
We don't know what the outcome will be. I think this is an important case because this is the first case where you're going to have two of President Trump's Supreme Court nominees who were confirmed by the Senate, Judge Gorsuch and Judge Kavanaugh, who are actually going to be on the Supreme Court bench. And so this is going to be the first chance that we actually get to see how they're going to fall on this issue, because we know there's never any guarantee for these justices.
True. Well, if ruled constitutional, would it affect abortion laws across the country? you think?
Yes. So if the Supreme Court upholds the Louisiana law, this will allow legislatures across the country to pass similar laws saying, you know what, no Kermit Gosnells here, that you cannot have an abortion facility that's above the law, and you have to uphold basic standards, surgical standards that other medical facilities already have in place. And that's what's so interesting about this case. And I was talking to people in front of the court today who are saying, this is about Roe, this is about access to abortion. I'm like, no, this was about abortionists having to uphold the law and not being exempt from the law, of putting patients over profits.
Well said. Kristen, thank you so much for being with us. We always appreciate your insights.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, how one group of Republican lawmakers is fighting to protect female student athletes competing against biological males in women's sports.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
On the home front, Tuesday morning at 10:30.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by a God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
A number of state lawmakers are considering bills right now that would protect female athletes who, in many states, are being forced to compete against males who identify as female. At the federal level, a group of GOP House members have introduced a bill that would take away Title IX funds from schools that allow these biological males to compete against females. Our Heather Sells sat down with the bill's sponsor, Congressman Greg Steube from Florida, and has more.
Congressman Steube, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What was your motivation in putting out this bill, and what kind of support does it have right now?
Yeah, so the Democrats passed in the Judiciary Committee what's called the Equality Act, which completely redefines what a woman is. Under the definition of the bill that passed the committee, it could be any person that identifies as a woman that day, depending on their feeling or identity. There's absolutely no definition to women. And so what we did in that committee for the Equality Act bill is I filed an amendment on this very issue that would make it very clear that men could not compete with women in women's sports under Title IX. And obviously it didn't pass in committee. Not a single Democrat voted for it. I then did it on the floor of the House in what we call a motion to recommit, which is the minority's only ability to force a vote on an issue that's a subject matter of the bill. Very few Democrats on the floor voted for it, and it didn't. My amendment didn't pass. The motion to recommit did not pass on the floor. So after all that, I thought it would be a good idea to file a standalone bill on the issue to make it clear, one, that in women's sports, women are going to be competing with biological women, and that if schools allow the biological males to compete with biological women in women's sports, they would lose their Title IX funding.
Wow. So what is the resistance that you are hearing from Democrats? What is their opposition to this bill?
Well, you know what's interesting is you don't hear a lot of resistance publicly, and what they'll do is they just won't bring it up for a vote. Obviously, in the Republican side, it's very well supported, but there is a lot of dissension amongst Democrats on this issue. Democratic women, I was actually just at a lunch today, and there was a gentleman at the lunch that told me about his wife and his kids who competed in high school athletics, and how this is just a non-starter for them. They absolutely think that women should be competing with biological women. And his daughter, he told me that she competed in high school and was trying to get a college scholarship, and she was absolutely appalled that this is even something that we as legislators at the federal level would even have to file a bill on to address. So you don't hear Democrats talking about it because I think it puts them in a very tough position. I think even Democratic members of their party that are women that have young girls competing in high school or college athletics certainly don't want their daughter competing with a biological male and losing scholarships. So what they'll do is they just won't bring it up for a vote in committee and force their members to have to make a decision on it.
Well, it's so fascinating because, as you're saying, everybody has a daughter or a niece or a goddaughter who could potentially be affected by something like this. Because of that, because so many people are affected by this issue, where do you see it all headed?
Well, you know, you're splitting the Democratic Party because even people like Maria Navratilova, who's been very vocal on this issue of women's and collegiate women's sports and competitive women's sports, has come out against the Equality Act in support of what I'm trying to do. And so I think you're going to see a lot of split. There was an op-ed in a national paper not too long ago saying that my bill has put Democrats in a tough position because it's making you choose between actual women and women's rights and women's ability to compete with women in a fair environment and transgender or trans men competing. So I think it's putting them in an interesting position. So I'm trying to get out to talk about it as much as possible so that the public is aware that this is a real issue. If that Equality Act would become law, which it won't because it won't be passed in the Senate and the president wouldn't sign it, but if it did, you would have a right for men who identify as a woman to compete against women in college and athletics events, even throughout our communities.
All right. Well, I know this is just beginning to catch people's attention across the country. Congressman Stubbe, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Anytime.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Two well-known actors, Samuel Jackson and Anthony Mackie, are teaming up to bring an untold true story to the big screen. The Banker hits theaters this Friday, and the actors play two men who changed financial history in the age of segregation. Our Ephraim Graham traveled to Jackson's home state of Tennessee for the world premiere and talked to the man himself.
Owning a bank is like owning the other side of the real estate business.
There's a few complexities you just left out.
Like what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I not wake up black this morning? Because I'm pretty sure I did. Yep, still black.
Samuel L. Jackson and Anthony Mackie bringing the real-life story of Joe Morris and Bernard Garrett to the big screen. And Studio 5 is here in Memphis, Tennessee to bring you your first look at the film The Banker, and there's no better place to begin this story than right here at the National Civil Rights Museum and the Lorraine Motel, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated back in 1968.
It's time that someone shine a bright light in order for things to change.
You starting to buy real estate in white-only neighborhoods?
Keep one eye open. Think about all the good we can do for the community.
Taking it to the man.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
In theaters Friday, set in the segregated 1950s and 60s, the men hire a white man to pose as the head of their company, while posing as a janitor and a chauffeur and actually running the business. Though largely unknown, this story certainly deserved its place in the pages of national civil rights history. In many ways, it led to the Housing Act of 1968, which made it illegal to refuse to sell property based on religion, race, or gender.
You want me to what? Be us to the rest of the world.
We can't set foot in the bank unless we the help. Should have took limo driver when you had the chance.
I don't know anything about banking. I don't know how to buy a bank.
We'll teach you everything you need to know.
You gotta learn how to talk to rich white folks like you one of them.
And you can't fake a golf game.
Make me proud, son.
When we meet your character, he's already pretty successful. What is it that's driving him inside to want to do this?
Well, he has a sense of race pride. I mean, he knows what that is. I mean, he's that guy that, people kind of look at. They look at him as, okay, he's just, nightclub owner. He's a womanizer. He's maybe an alcoholic. He doesn't present himself as a pillar of the community, but, behind the scenes, he's doing a lot more than people understand.
Wow, that looks like a must-see movie. We will have more from the cast of The Banker on Studio 5 in the coming weeks when the film begins streaming to Apple TV. Also, this week on Studio 5, we sit down with two real-life contractors who actually have a recording contract, and guess what? They're known as the Singing Contractors, and they are fantastic. And we will also bring you a behind-the-scenes look at Ben Affleck's new film called The Way Back. You won't want to miss that. Again, Studio 5 with Ephraim Graham, and that's Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's right here on the CBN News Channel. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, please tell us what you think about the stories you've seen today. Just email us, newswatch@cbn.com, or you can talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And my Instagram is Wendy Griffith on Instagram, Wendy Griffith on Facebook, and Wendy G on Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Until then, from all of us here, have a great day, and God bless you.